You're waiting.
Well, hello and welcome to the First Alert Weather Podcast. It is a sunny day and we're recording episode 99B. And you're probably wondering, why would we do 99A and then do 99B and not just do 100? Well, we want 100 to be special, and if it's going to be special, it has to have Jeff Forger on in it. He's out of town this week. So next week we'll have episode 100, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun. We have two special guests, people that used to be on the air here at Foxhall, so it should be a lot of fun. People you probably remember. Okay, so welcome to Katie Zuniga. You're in your backyard, it looks like.
Yes, I'm enjoying this. It's amazing back here.
Is it nice out there? Just
well,
right?
so my front of my house faces sort of southwest, so my back is northeast, so it loses the sun by about 2 o'clock. So right now,
Perfect.
it's magic.
Oh, just in the
Very
shade.
nice.
That's great.
And Camilla, thanks for joining us as well. Camilla and I will be doing I'm doing the 4 o'clock show, which is in about 49 minutes. We're recording this at about 3:11. Well, not about. It says 3:11 p.m. right there on my computer. 3:11 p.m. on Thursday, and we just hit 80 here in Portland. How exciting! First time this season.
Yeah.
So Katie's got her ice drink. Is that? I can hear birds.
I was
That is
going
not
to say
a sound effect.
Every once in a while, I can hear the chirping. I'm like, oh, that's so nice.
It's real.
It's wonderful
Very cool.
out here.
Very good. All right, so we're going to cover this. We're going to try to have a shorter Well, no, we have to have a shorter podcast because I have to be on TV. So we're going to cover the summer temps that are here. We know that, how warm we're going to get. What's ahead over the next few days as we see the wind kind of shift around. Katie is going to talk about tornadoes because she just did what we call a package in the TV weather business last week. Because this is, if we have a tornado season, we're kind of entering it, kind of. Camilla's laughing because you grew up in where?
The Midwest.
Yeah, little stuff. And then we have a weather term of the week, the WCTT. I bet you two don't know what that is, right?
Wait, what's the C?
Well, I'm going to get to it. Wait, yeah. We'll get to it. We didn't talk about it yesterday. Okay, so let's see. I think we have to do the graphics slightly differently here. All right, can you see do we have a beautiful view of the Earth right now?
We
Is that
do.
what you see? It
It's
did shift,
lovely.
okay, because my PowerPoint isn't working quite right, so we will see if it stays. So this is a satellite picture, 1:30 this afternoon. Look at that. Nary a cloud across northern Oregon and southern Washington.
Nice.
Not
Beautiful.
one.
All the white there, snow cover over the mountains. You see a few blue lakes, like Waldo Lake kind of sticks out down there. And then you see some clouds over the southeast part of the state, but really light stuff. So we are under a strong area of high pressure. But here's the deal. This is kind of breaking news. I was listening to this on the radio on the way in, and I looked it up, and sure enough, went to spaceweather.com. That's where all the good stuff happens, folks. We are under, not just us, the whole planet, under a geomagnetic storm watch for Friday night. It's technically early on the 11th, which on our part of the globe begins at 5 p.m. The 11th begins at 5 p.m. Friday night. Could be a severe geomagnetic storm. I think it goes up to G5, or does it go to G6? So G4 is what they're saying. And you can see the effects. This is from spaceweather.com. Basically, do I have it here? Yeah, there were these CMEs, which are a concentrated energy, these bursts of energy that come out of the sunspots. There's a huge sunspot area, just a massive one there, unusually large. And it sent, I think, 4 different CMEs out towards, out away from the sun, that direction. Earth happens to be aimed at Earth. And this is interesting. If you see, it says a cannibal CME. That's where they kind of merge, kind of like waves coming together. And look at that right there. It says the cannibal CMEs are notoriously good at sparking strong geomagnetic storms and low latitude auroras. Northern Lights. Yeah. So maybe, you two have been around like me for a while, and you've seen like, okay, maybe we'll see Northern Lights tonight, and then nothing happens. Other times they kind of appear when we think they might, but, so it's all, we don't know. But the big thing is, for us, at least we have clear skies tomorrow, Friday night. So we will see. I live out in Corbett, and every time we have some sort of astronomical event and the weather's good, you wouldn't believe the amount of people that head out towards Crown Point and the Women's Forum State Park, because it's a dark area close to Portland. And I'm glad I'm going on vacation for a couple days, so I'm glad I won't be right there. But I bet somebody on the Corbett Facebook page was saying, oh my gosh, there's going to be just jam full of people coming up tomorrow night up there. So we will see. But that's kind of exciting. A little bit of breaking news there.
Yeah, fingers crossed we can see something. I still have never seen an aurora borealis in person.
I don't think I
either.
really
It's on
have
my bucket
either.
list.
Yeah.
It's so random.
Yeah.
We will see. So we'll be talking about that on the news tonight, on the weathercast, of course. Okay, real quick, we're going to recap. We won't dwell on this long, but we had that nice soaking since the last podcast last week. We knew we'd have a good soaking on that Saturday and a little bit on Sunday, too. We ended up with about 1.5 inches. Models said 1 to 2 inches, so that was good, right?
Perfect, yeah.
Models did well. More up in the foothills of the Cascades. I think I had about 3 or 4 inches up at my place. And then this was great in north central and central Oregon, where they don't get much rain. Any rain in the spring is just perfectly timed. And man, May rain when the growing season has started. You see there's a background image of the wheat over near Duffer at some point. I think a viewer sent this picture to me once. And this is a great time to get a soaking. And for them, that's a lot of rain. Like Maupin, I bet Maupin averages 8 or 10 inches of rain a year. So 1 inch of rain is pretty significant. Good stuff.
That's a big
there.
deal.
Nice soaking.
Great.
All the reservoirs are very close to full. This shows the Willamette Basin. So basically, we have water everywhere. The ground is soaked. We've got a pretty decent snowpack. It's about average, maybe slightly above. So we don't have to yell about drought or anything, do we? I mean, we're in pretty good shape.
Everything looks so green out there right now, too. It's so beautiful.
I always tell people that when our springs, when we do have sunshine, boy, we have just beautiful. It's just so beautiful. I know some people love the rain, but yeah, it's so nice when it does turn sunny.
Yeah.
And then we almost had a frost 2 nights ago. I think we're probably done with the chance for frost for this season. We generally don't get frost in the metro area or west of the Cascades. In the lowlands, once we hit mid-May, the chance is pretty much over. And so these are probably the final dates here. The blue, it's half transparent there. Portland's last frost is going to end up being March 8th, which actually was a little early.
That is pretty early.
Yeah, and then Hillsborough was April 17th. I think Hillsborough had a 33 or 34 2 nights ago, so it was close. Yeah, so last spring frost. Okay, let's get to the warm stuff. Does anybody have the current temps up? Read us some numbers. What do we have? Is PDX 82? Is that correct?
Yeah, 253. PDX hit 82. Strong
82.
east wind, too, 24 miles per hour, gusting to 33.
Dang, downsloping wind. You know what? A little secret, a little tidbit. When it comes straight from the east at PDX only. If it's straight from the east, it'll be like 09 because 00 is from the north, 09 is east, 118 is 180 from the south. Anyway, if it's 09, 08, or 07, kind of east or east-northeast, that's like a downsloping wind. It's coming off the Cascades.
Pause for birds.
Pause for birds. It's coming off the Cascades, and so that's a warming wind for us. The air comes down slope. When it's kind of coming from the east-southeast, that means it's coming out of the gorge. Just for that location only. There's your tidbit for the day, your
nice
Portland observation tidbit. Anyway, so yeah, boy, that east wind shows up, and suddenly that temperature took a big jump there. And I see some temperatures around 80 at the coastline, too. So
nice.
some warm numbers there. Actually, I have them here. Let's see what.
And this is about typical, right? This time of year to hit our first 80-degree day in Portland, right? Early May. That's pretty average.
I think that was average. Was it May 7th is the average? Yeah, right on. Yeah, Tillamook's 81. Newport is 70 now. Newport's interesting because at the airport there, last hour it was 68. But in the city, a reliable sensor up, kind of on the bluff on the north side of the bay was 79. So you can tell it's a very thin layer of marine air. So very, very thin layer. Okay, so next 7 days. So we went for 80 today. We're going to be a degree or two under. That's fine. We didn't hit the record of 87. Tomorrow I just made the forecast. Neither of you two has seen the forecast.
I haven't.
No.
I bet, Camilla, your whole day is focused on, you can't wait till
It's
you get
all
in
I've
and see
been
that piece of
thinking
paper.
about. Yeah, it's all that's
Right?
been on my mind.
Oh, yeah. Well, it looks about the same, doesn't it?
We
Wait,
haven't changed
so
those
this is
Friday,
the,
Saturdays.
is
Wait,
this
you
the
know what?
updated one?
Actually, it is not. I ran out of time.
Okay, I was going
But-
to say, those haven't changed.
Sloppy
I
work,
did
Mark.
trying to put together a podcast and then trying to get my lawn mowed and clear out the
Did you
pool.
get your
I had
deck
important stuff.
stained?
No, I'm gonna put that off till next week. It was more important
Okay.
to get the growing little mossy spots out of the pool and get it circulating.
Yes. Okay.
It's starting to look kind of cloudy blue now instead of green. All right, so the record on Friday tomorrow is 89. We might bust through at 90. We're gonna go for 90.
Yeah.
And we, compared to what our graph model's been showing, we've been running like 2 degrees or so above what it shows. So it's showing, I think, 87 tomorrow. So I'm like, let's just stay with the 90. Seems reasonable.
Okay.
I think I stayed with the 88 for Saturday. No record there. I did lower Sunday down to 76 just because there seems to be a pretty good push. And now our graph model, like the WRF, is showing low clouds for parts of the metro Sunday morning. So in May, that should be enough to keep us in the upper 70s, I think, mid-upper 70s. And then Monday, I don't have a graphic that really matches this, but you see the big drop. There's a big push of ocean air. Plus, there's a little upper level trough coming through. Let's see here. And there is a chance for spots of drizzle Monday morning. I see it on the WRF GFS model. It's just barely there, but maybe a spot of drizzle. All right, so here's the upper level pattern. Big H, big upper level ridge. It reaches maximum intensity just west of us this evening. This is the 10 p.m. and this is the highest heights, about 582 decameters, which means 5,820 meters above the ground.
I'm glad that you had the specifics there for us.
Yeah, something like that. About 18,000 feet. If you just say on TV, about 18,000 feet. Don't say decameters on TV.
Yeah.
There you go. And then I have movement here. So now we're going to go from this evening. Are you ready for it? You ready for
I'm
it?
ready.
This evening through Monday morning. The only thing that annoys me is it doesn't stop on Monday morning. We can't get it to pause at the end. So that annoys me. Oh, no.
Is it not going to run because it doesn't like it?
Because I'm on a different...
Yeah.
Son of a... Stop me before
Motherless donkey.
Is there a play button? Play. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no. Don't do anything. No, don't do anything. Okay. It's not going to loop. You know what? You're not going to see a loop. What's going on?
Okay.
Let's move to the next one. Oh, no. Did I just halt it? Thank you. Okay. So what's going on is off to the... You can see my cursor, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Off to the west, maybe it's this trough way out here. Something swings by, the ridge flattens, and then a little weak trough swings by just to our north. It's just a little wiggle in the flow, but I mean, this whole high is way down here and squished down on Monday. So that's why I think we'll get big push of ocean air Monday, kind of recover a little bit Tuesday. This just shows the anomaly. This is for Tuesday morning through Wednesday morning. It's a one-day average, and that trough has already gone by, and the ridge kind of tries to build in. The big question is, so we're pretty confident through next Tuesday, Wednesday. The big question is, this is the Euro for next Wednesday through Thursday, Wednesday evening through Thursday evening. And so you can see a trough seems to want to dig down just over us or just to our east. So would that then give us more cooling, maybe some showers at the end of next week? Maybe or maybe not. The models are in a little bit of disagreement on that. So that's our next real chance for showers. Unless we get a spot of drizzle Monday morning, the next real chance for showers is going to be Thursday, Friday next week, maybe.
Yeah. Nice dry stretch here.
Yeah, and you can see. I did notice. I don't think I have anything to back it up. I don't have the 500 millibar charts to back this up, but you can see what's going on here. There is no other sign of a big, huge warm spell right after this one. Those temperatures are probably a little below average, not dramatically cool like what we just went through, but the Euro ensemble average, it has a kind of a trough setting in the week leading up to Memorial Day. If you go here. So same time period. What we're looking at, folks, is the temperatures over the next 15 days. If you go over the 24-hour rain, QPF rainfall in this case, over the next 2 weeks, and you can see two areas. One is the first circled over next Thursday and Friday. Maybe half or so of models have... of the Euro Ensemble members have maybe something measurable later next week. So, okay, something might be up for late next week, but look how much agreement there is pretty far out in time that something may be up, like a cool troughing with lots of showers. That's the week leading up to Memorial Day. I mean, there's a lot of green in there.
That is.
It didn't show that just 2 days ago. So we might be up for some cool troughing again. But, this is how it works in spring. We have these warm and dry periods. Then it's cool and showery. And it's warm and dry. I mean, it's unusual to have long periods of either one. Would you agree?
Yeah.
I just remember being hot this time last year.
Oh, last year. Hottest May ever.
Yeah, last May was crazy.
When we were starting to pull things for May, I went, oh, I remember this. Oh, I remember doing these. I remember these. It was crazy.
It was weirdly warm and hot. I mean, we had 6 days, I think, at or above 85.
Oh.
And we had 5 total days throughout the month at or above 90. And
we made 93. Like, we hit the hottest, like, we hit a record, right, for May.
I think we did. Well, at least for the date. Yeah.
That
we had
date,
like
that's what I mean.
9 consecutive days in the 80s. I remember that too.
I mean, that's like, we have some Julys that don't get quite that warm.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Speaking of crazy.
All right. Crazy
I mean, not Katie. Not crazy. No. I'm not saying Katie's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
But she's going to talk tornadoes here. Now, I didn't bring in the right graphic, but Katie, you just go.
Okay.
I've got 2 graphics for you to go along.
Yeah. So I apparently have become the resident tornado person.
Love it.
At the station, and I have probably been the one who's been around them the least. Because
we had some slow weather. It's like, Katie, can you talk about tornadoes? We
I
need something.
know. But I have to tell you, I really had quite a good time just digging into more. Because, of course, I learned about tornadoes when I went through school, but
Sure.
learning more about them here for us rather than what they teach about, or probably the tornadoes that Camilla was used to or she was near. They're just completely different for us here. So we talk about there being a tornado season, and yes, we do typically have one. You'll see here, this is the total number of tornadoes, if you're just listening, that we're looking at. The number one month is October at 24.
It
And
sure sticks
then
out. Wow.
it does. And then September 14, and then June 12. Now, from what I understand, tornado season more in the Midwest is closer to like April, May. And the reason that is because that's when we're coming out of the winter. Things are cooler, starting to warm up. There's a lot more instability in the atmosphere, which is what we need to get the fuel for these to get going. So that's why it's a little more prevalent in the Midwest at this time of year. But it still does happen for us. So top 3 months, October, September, and then June. March, April, May, and December are kind of all around the same, in like 7 to 8. So they can happen at any time. We've had one in July and one in February in our history, but they're more common, if they're going to be common, quote marks, those time of year.
Yeah.
And then here
Pretty
we
rare.
have a history of them, the recent tornadoes, all EF zeros, and which means
So
the
sad.
wind speeds like, what is it, like 50 to 80 miles per hour?
Yeah,
I can't
that
remember
sounds
off the top
something
of my
like that.
head.
It's pretty weak. Yeah.
It's pretty weak, and they're rated, for those of you that don't know, they're rated 0 to 5, with 5 being obviously the strongest. And then so from 2020 to 2023, we had one in June, November, March, September, 2 in October, another in June, and then another in October. And they were in places like Damascus, which I actually lived there for a little while. St. Helens, we had the Battleground, Sandy, Woodburn, all kind of those
The
areas.
Sandy one caused quite a bit of damage. That was just east of Sandy. I think the big fir tree, because it was in like big fir, Douglas fir area, and the big trees went down into homes. I remember that one.
So I wasn't here for that one. I was here for the June and the October one that we just had in Harrisburg and the center.
In Harrisburg, that was just almost just video. As I recall, there was a little note. It just went across I-5 in a truck stop. Wasn't there a truck stop somewhere? There's always a truck stop somewhere, but I mean, wasn't there? Yeah, I think it was along an exit there on I-5 down at Harrisburg.
Yeah,
but not much damage.
You didn't bring any of the graphics in that explain the tornadoes.
Sorry.
You couldn't find them. That's okay. So just will be more
You
for the
said
people.
it said land spout. I couldn't find land spout.
Yeah. So
there's no land spout. I told Camilla, I said, there's no land spout. I need a land spout.
I also looked for it and I couldn't find it.
I don't think it says land spout. It was under tornado, and it has to be in there because I just used it.
No, and I looked under tornado too. Well, this is how it works in the Weather Center. We just sit there and we argue about where the graphics are on the system and why they weren't labeled correctly. And I can't find them. How did you do it? Yeah, I don't know.
And I know
Sorry
it's in there
about that.
because I created it as a video and I exported it out of Max to input into the story that I did.
Max is our weather system. It's not a person, just so everybody knows. That's the name of our weather system.
WSI.
Right.
So
we didn't export.
It's there, I know. So basically what the two graphics that we were looking at is there's, a couple different ways that tornadoes can form. One of them is when you have slower winds at the surface going in one direction, and then up a little higher, faster winds going in the same direction, and it creates sort of a tube of rotating air. So you have this laying flat horizontally with the ground. You have this tube of column of air, and then when you get a thunderstorm coming through, and you have that instability and you have that lift, it grabs that tube, pushes it up, turns it up on end, and that's how you get your landspout tornadoes. Is they're formed from the ground up. But the key thing is they have to connect to the cloud to be the tornado. And then you have the more traditional tornadoes, which is the ones that we think of that are from the rotating clouds. And the ones, the easiest way to think about to describe it without having a video is like if you have a system that's moving through and you have a line of storms, and then right in the center of that line of storms you have a stronger wind that's pushing, it sort of makes a bow. It's called a bow echo that's in that line of thunderstorms. And so the ones on the outside aren't moving as quickly, advancing as quick as the ones in the middle, so they start to turn, and so you get some rotating in one direction and one rotating in the other. So either end of that line of storms is where you can see the rotation in the cloud. So that's one way you can get it. And then Mark, we have ours here that we talked about, those cold funnel. That's the one that we talked about that was in La Center in October. I wish you had a picture. I wish we had a picture of it where we do get that rotation. It's not as common here, but we do get it, and that's where you get those funnel clouds that come down, and
Sure.
if they don't touch the ground. So here's the tidbit that Mark and I didn't talk about the other day, but I was doing more research, just making sure I understood how this happens. And what I've learned through talking with people and studying and research is, we have and correct me if I'm wrong, is it the Aleutian low? Is that how you say it, Mark?
Aleutian, yep.
Aleutian low, that's up to our northwest, and that's more dominant in the fall. It kind of becomes more dominant in the fall through the winter into the spring. And then when you get to the spring, it sort of backs off, and then the Pacific high somewhat takes dominance over. So the Aleutian low is what funnels everything down to us to give us our storms through the fall, winter, and spring. Then when the Pacific high takes over in the spring through the fall, that sort of caps and makes it really hard for us to get anything higher than we had 2 2s and 1 3. Is that right?
Yeah, we don't tend to get huge thunderstorms. They don't tend to get that high. That's what you're
Because
saying,
they
right?
have that Pacific high that kind of caps them, because to get those really
pretty
big thunderstorms like you see in the Midwest, they don't have that Pacific high over them.
And we have no source of warm. We don't have a warm water, warm and humid. When we do get warm and humid, that's when we have had decent thunderstorms.
Yeah.
So
So that's my quick abridged, get it done in less than 30-minute Katie talk on crazy.
that was good. That was only like 4 minutes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good stuff with the blue jay in the background. I heard that as well.
I'm working on being more concise. If I'd had more time, I would have written less.
That was good. Thanks, Katie. That was good stuff. Okay, weather term of the week, WCTT. It's a West Coast thermal trough. All right.
Oh, I thought you were trying to abbreviate weather term of the week, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Okay, I see what you did now.
And I knew we were going to do a thermal trough, but you didn't tell me it was going to be West Coast.
WCTT. Yeah, it's often called the West Coast Thermal Trough or Thermal Trough. And in fact, we are in a thermal trough right now west of the Cascades, so it seemed appropriate. Okay, so I got this from Matt Brewer and his advisor, Professor Cliff Mass up at the UW. He did a great paper on the West Coast Thermal Trough evolution. And this is a pretty consistent pattern we see repeat over and over in the warm season, or year after year. Sometimes it only happens 3 or 4 times in the warm season. Sometimes it happens 10. But so these graphics are from him. I've added the H's and the L's and the lines. But just take a typical surface map in the afternoon. We've got high pressure offshore, the blue area. You've got a thermal low, which is rising air created by the hot air in the Central Valley of California. Let's just say one afternoon, okay? Next morning, okay, well, this thermal trough, I don't know, I probably shouldn't, you can kind of see an inverted trough, which is where this area of low pressure is kind of developing on the Cascades. I don't think probably shouldn't have put the line up there, but it's kind of there. Let's ignore that one for now. But then by that afternoon, then you can surface high pressures develop east of the Cascades, and look how pressures are lowering here. They're lowering west of the Cascades. What's going on here? We call that a thermal trough. Because what's actually happening, what is instigating this, yes, air is flowing from the high to the low, right? It's going from H to L. We're getting an easterly wind in this case, like today. But what starts this, it's all about the terrain. I don't think I have that. I don't have the right graphic. But we have north-south oriented Cascades, right? So what happens is when we have that upper level high, like we have just to our northwest right now, you get an easterly wind on the south side of that at like 5,000 feet or 7,000 feet or 3,000 feet. And when that wind comes over mountains and then it drops, goes down, that lowers pressure on the lee side of a mountain range. So that's a lee side low. So basically it's enhancing the lifting, and you're getting low pressures are lowering west of the Cascades. And once they lower, here you are, once they lower, then you get surface easterly wind. So if we didn't have 850 millibar winds coming from the east to start with, we wouldn't have such a sharp thermal low along the west coast. And this is kind of the mature phase. I would say this is at the coast. This is about what it should look like tomorrow morning. This is from an example from like 20 years ago, but it's the same setup where the thermal low is kind of along the coast into the valley, then down into California. You got deep easterly flow here. And then by that afternoon, high pressure then is strengthening offshore again. And then the thermal low is moving east of the Cascades because the easterly winds overhead have stopped at 5,000 feet. So you're no longer getting the lowering pressures west of the Cascades. And we call that a marine push, big push of ocean air. And you'll see this setup, this sequence of events repeat, many times, several times at least, each warm season. And this is interesting. So in this study, this Matt Brewer up at the UW, I think he was a graduate student, he said, okay, so this is what we normally see on the left side. But what would happen if you took out, and right here, look what he did here. he ran several simulations with different terrain across the West. One was control, which means that's what the terrain really is like around here. One is, what if you smoothed out the terrain a little bit? He tried it with no terrain. He took like a chunk off the West Coast, like it's just flat. You go straight from the ocean and it's flat. Okay. And then no terrain would be almost like the Netherlands and, like Western Europe, where it's just it just goes from ocean onto flat land.
Yeah.
Okay, so he did that, and look what happened on the right side. If you have no terrain, it's just flat. If we were totally flat in the West, you would get basically what happens in the Midwest as an upper level high approaches, a surface high develops below. And yes, it would be kind of east-southeast wind here, but everything would be all kind of perfect meteorologically. Isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. So this stuff going on, this thermal troughing that we get west of the Cascades is explicitly due to the mountain ranges oriented north and south. Pretty interesting stuff, huh?
Yes, it's very interesting. I hadn't actually, and maybe because most of my teachers weren't from over here, because they told me I probably knew more about our area than they did.
True.
They didn't mention anything about this.
Yeah.
I'd never
Only
heard
we
of
care
this.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to the other side of the Rockies, they either don't know about it or don't care because it doesn't affect them. And so, this is kind of the same sort of thing. Oh, and so we do tend to get more thermal troughs at the end of summer and into fall because we start getting cooler areas of high pressure that start dropping down east of the Rockies. Mm-hmm. That's why we worry about those easterly winds in September when it's still dry if we haven't had rain yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I just think that's fascinating how this is textbook high pressure when there's no land, when there's no mountains involved. The mountains mess everything up, basically.
Totally. Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got. Holy cow, it's 3:36. I have no makeup on. I got a show in 25 minutes. Most important, I'm getting kind of hungry, and I haven't eaten yet.
Oh, gosh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We don't want
That's a thing. No.
I can't be going into a show with no food. That's
No. Get your snacks.
I had
Get your burger.
That great chili. Now I'm tired of those burgers. But good idea, but I'm tired of the burgers. So anyway, thanks for joining us, folks. I hope you enjoyed this, our 99B. Next week, like I said, I want to tease. We got 2 special guests if everything works out right. Former members of the team. We're gonna find out where are they now. Like when you watch a TV show, like what happened to. I was gonna say Betty White, but we know where she is. She's no longer here. But I was thinking like some previous, some person on TV. It's like, what happened to them? How come I don't see them anymore? Where did they go? But we're gonna catch up with them, which should be fun.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. It'll be a very fun one.
Did I miss anything? Any parting thoughts or shots?
No,
I was gonna say on the tornado stuff. I mean, just all the crazy stuff going on. Well, in the Midwest. I mean, last week or week and a half ago, and then there's all the crazy stuff happening in the East. Yesterday there were a bunch of severe weather outbreaks. Yeah, so it's been crazy to watch all that stuff.
Really busy back there. We need to get Jeff on that because I know he went back east at least briefly for part of his vacation.
Yeah.
But he will be back, and we'll have another podcast at the end of next week. So, folks, enjoy the sunshine. Yeah, it'll be a little hot tomorrow. Not bad. Saturday's kind of calm and a little toasty in the afternoon. Then pretty pleasant May weather coming up, I think, for a week. So enjoy it, and we will see you next week. I was going to say at this time, but whenever we record and whenever it drops into your feed. See you then.
Hold up, you're waiting and hesitating until